So I'm here at the Massachusetts Peace Action Rally for Earth Day. All right, I hope you guys can hear me okay. They can? Okay, cool. So I'm here at the Boston Common for the Massachusetts Peace Action Earth Day Rally. So we have a couple of speakers lined up. I'll also be speaking as well. So I'm just going to be live streaming this event. So I wish I could see you guys, but I can't. I'm on the other side of the camera. You can get Sabby has legs. I was gonna try to get an arm, but I get to meet you in person. You want to say hi? I'm streaming.
Hi, everybody.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Lily Goldstein. I work with Caleb Hoffman in the Center for Political Innovation, and I'm just out here to talk to people about GTI and Earth Day. And a lot of people tell you today is actually Lenin's birthday. A lot of people don't know that Earth Day is also Lenin's birthday. I don't know. I just heard about this project now. It seems out here. It looks like Caleb Hoffman's here, right? Yeah. Wow.
Can you mute real quick?
Yeah. How you all doing today?
Woohoo!
Our next speaker is Dr. Jill Stein, activist, physician, former presidential candidate with Green Rainbow Party, and former Massachusetts governor candidate with the Green Rainbow Party. Jill.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Kevin, for that incredibly inspirational beginning, as always. And a big thank you to everybody for being here today. Our numbers may be small today, deterred by really bad traffic and really bad parking for people who weren't coming from public transit routes. But thank you to everyone for persisting. And sometimes you have to get out in front. Sometimes you have to get out in front even before people are ready. We all know the job that the media has been doing in keeping us disinformed about just about everything. Big exception to the media members who are here today. I want to give a shout out to the Revolutionary Blackout Network, Sabby Sabs over here. Are there any other members of the media here today? All right, we're all the media. Yes, we're all the media. We must be. Oh, there's more media. So thank you very much for doing what media has to do, because we can't have an educated population. We can't have a democracy without an educated public, and we can't have an educated public unless the media is doing their job, which is very hard to do nowadays. So thank you, media, who are not being lapdogs to power, but who are being watchdogs to power. And that's what we need. That's what we all are here today. We're not just watchdogs to power. We are the engine of power, of grassroots power. We are the power going forward. And that's really our whole purpose in convening this gathering today. And this gathering is what democracy looks like from across the spectrum of justice, of climate justice, and social justice, and labor justice, and prison justice, and all the forms of justice that we need to be together, because if you put us together, we are an unstoppable force. They may have the money at the moment, but we have the people and we have the power. And I especially, if there's one thing to drive home today, it's the words of the poet and the novelist and the activist Alice Walker, who says the biggest way people give up power is by not knowing we have it to start with. We have it, we've got to use it, we're going to use it. I just want to say a few things about what we hope to be advancing today, which is really a coalition across the spectrum of justice and peace, a coalition that can continue working together, because it's usually a game of divide and conquer, which is how they manage to rule us. But we as a people, of course, it is poor and communities of color who will get hit first and worst on everything, especially the climate, especially on economic justice, especially on jobs. To the point, one of the points Kevin was making about the struggle for justice here in Boston, I just have to give you one statistic that so sticks in my mind. This came out in a series of articles done by the Boston Globe a few years ago, which showed that the average Caucasian family in the Boston area has a wealth of about $250,000. $250,000 for the average Caucasian family. But the average wealth of the African American family, who's got it? $8. $8 disgusting dollars, because of the incredible debt, the incredible hardships, the incredible disadvantages, from mortgages to credit card debt to healthcare debt to especially higher education debt. These are all things that we must fight. As we fight the cause of climate justice, we must fight for all the forms of justice as well as for peace. And I will just say a quick word about that so I don't overstay my time. But we know right now there are such war drums that are beating. It's very hard for people to get a full understanding of what's going on. Those of us who were around just after the Twin Towers in 9/11, we may remember that frenzy for war. We may remember that war for weapons of mass destruction that turned out not to be there. Since that day, we have spent $21 trillion on military. 21 trillion, our latest budget is close to $1 trillion when you add up all the hidden pieces of it. It's more than 50% of our discretionary budget. Every time you open a newspaper or your computer, you see that there's another $100-some million that are going to Ukraine. And of course, we have great sympathy and anguish for the suffering of the people, but we must also remember the great suffering of the people in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Iran, in Libya, in Syria, in the many areas around the world where we have been told, don't look. But we must look. We must look up to see the climate storm that is coming, and we must look around to see the human storm that surrounds us. These can only be solved together. All of them are going in the wrong direction. But all of us together create an unstoppable force for peace, for justice, for action. I won't try to say my remarks, which I've completely neglected here. I won't try to say that right now. But in the excitement of the moment, it is so beautiful to see this powerful gathering from across the sectors of society, from across our movements. Because when we join together, when we refuse to play the game of divide and conquer, when we join together across the spectrum of justice and peace, then we are an unstoppable force. Be sure that you connect with us today. You can connect with us through the Mass Peace Action webpage or their website. Let's stay connected. Let's make today a beginning, a new kind of Earth Day, a new kind of day for people, planet, and peace over profit. Together we are unstoppable. Thank you so much. Sign up with Amar right here. Sign up with Amar. If you're not on our mailing list on our networking, this is the guy. And big thank you to Amr, by the way, for bringing us all together.
You're on live. Excuse me. That's great. Sabby will be speaking in a little bit. We're going out live on our channel right now. Yes.
Great.
We're doing it live. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I do. Hi, everyone. Are we live streaming?
Yeah.
Hi, thank you, everyone, so much for watching. Thank you to Sabby for being here. This is amazing. So, yeah, no, super exciting and fun. Yeah.
I saw you giving an interview to the TV news there.
Sure, yeah. Okay, yeah. No, I gave a couple interviews. That's why I came over here to get Jill to want to interview for the TV thing. So we're going to bring Jill over there. I'm going to come right back. Okay, I'll come back. Sabby's up next. She's up speaking next. So we're getting really excited.
Are you ready?
We're so excited to have Sabby here as a part of this. You coalition, which is kind of being born.
I love Revolutionary Blackout Network. I listen to them when I'm exercising. They are awesome. Compton, Jay, and Nick, they're so great, and Sat, they're amazing. So everybody should watch them. We should promote them today for sure.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, Jill, can we give you a minute?
Let's go this way.
Our next speaker is Sabrina Salvati. She's a member of the Revolutionary Blackout Network and the host of Sabs podcast.
A little short here, but here I go. First and foremost, I want to thank Massachusetts Peace Action for hosting this event. I'm Sabrina Salvati. I'm the host of Sabs podcast and the co-host of Revolutionary Blackout Network. As a political commentator, I, like several others, constantly battle censorship. I have to be careful about what I say. Sometimes I have to use code words that luckily my audience know what I'm talking about when I use those words. So I want to discuss freedom of speech and freedom of press. Over the past few months, I've seen journalists and commentators censored on many platforms. All of them independent journalists, of course. Some of them have lost years of their work on YouTube and Spotify. You may know some of them. Chris Hedges, Abby Martin, Lee Camp, Tara Reid. All of them have had their work erased because they revealed the truth about the U.S. imperialism, regime change, and these ongoing wars abroad. Independent journalists, we are at risk of losing our voice because we do not repeat the lies fed to Americans from networks such as CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. Although independent media has increased, our numbers are relatively small when compared to mainstream media. These media outlets control the narrative. And oftentimes, that narrative is false, and oftentimes, that narrative leaves out important information. While they continue to bombard airwaves with Russia and Ukraine, they remain silent about attacks in Somalia and Yemen.
That's right.
They make excuses for economic warfare to make Americans feel better about children starving in Afghanistan because of the sanctions imposed by the US government. They preach a pro-war message that I feel is incredibly dangerous because it gives Americans the idea that the United States government are the good guys and the countries abroad are the enemy. And that's where my job comes in. Independent journalists and commentators, we are here to fill in the gaps that CNN leaves out. We are here to correct the lies and reveal the truth. But we cannot continue to do our job if censorship persists on many of these tech platforms. Big tech and US government is trying to silence us. When I think about Julian Assange, I'm reminded of just how far our government will go to silence us. Julian is being tortured for revealing the truth about US war crimes. This is why freedom of truth, freedom of press, freedom of speech are so incredibly important.
Yeah.
If it were not for independent journalists, would we know about the truth about the chemical attacks in Syria? If it wasn't for independent journalists, would we know the truth about the war in Iraq? If it wasn't for independent journalists, would we know that the George Floyd protests continued even though mainstream media stopped covering it? You don't have to agree or like what we have to say, but that's okay, because you also have the choice not to watch or not to listen to us. But we should have the right to speak. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, how'd it go?
That was awesome, you guys. Hope you definitely enjoyed that. Definitely, check online for other Earth Day events that are happening today. It's happening here. Okay, May 1st on May Day is International Workers' Day. So that's another event that's going to be happening here in Boston at Boston Common. And this is also going to celebrate the victory of the nurses that went on strike in Worcester, Massachusetts. So this would be pretty awesome, you guys. I'll talk more about that on the stream. And Rome will be here tomorrow, you guys. I don't know if I'll see Rome tomorrow, but he'll be here tomorrow. And we'll do Tour for the Poor on Monday. So, yeah, that was awesome. Again, this event was put on by Massachusetts Peace Action. Jill Stein was there. Like, everyone I met was so awesome. And one of the things that was said by, and I don't want to say old school, a long time activist, is that we need to be calling out the media. Like, we need to be protesting more the media, because that is the big problem, because they control the narrative. So that was good to hear. But yeah. All right, I'm gonna head out. Sometimes you can get lost on Boston Common. That's why I'm like, where's the garage again? All right, Eric.
It's underneath you.
What am I doing? Yeah. Well, I walk this way. Okay, yeah, I walk this way. Anyway, all right, guys. Bye.